إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقرن في بيوتكن ولا تبرجن تبرج الجاهلية الأولى وأقمنا الصلاة وآتينا الزكاة وأطعنا الله ورسوله إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. وقال النبي صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم فضل عيشة على النساء كفضل الثريد على سائر الطعام أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Honorable ulama ikram, respected brothers and elders, just as the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was divinely selected by Allah for prophethood, in the very same way every partner, every wife, every spouse of Nabi alayhi salam was the divine choice and the selection of Allah. Hence the lives of the Azwaj Mutahharat are exemplary for women till the day of Qiyamah. Nabi alayhi salam himself has said, مَا تَزَوَّجْتُ شَيْئًا مِّن نِّسَائِي وَلَا زَوَّجْتُ شَيْئًا مِّن بَنَاتِي إِلَّا بِوَحْيٍ جَاءَنِي بِهِ جِبْرِيلُ عَنْ رَبِّي عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. I did not get married to any of my wives, nor did I get my daughters married to any of my son-in-laws, but through divine approval from Allah Ta'ala. There is no words that can do justice in describing the honor that Allah has afforded to the honorable consorts of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Perhaps the furthest the English language would take you to speak of a first lady. That's about all it entails. What an honorable title Allah has afforded the wives of Nabi alayhi salam. وَأَزْوَاجُهُ أُمَّهَاتُهُمْ. And indeed the spouses of Nabi alayhi salam are the mothers of the believers till the day of Qiyamah. وَاذْكُرْنَ مَا يُتْلَى فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Allah conscientizes and reminds the spouses of Nabi alayhi salam to acknowledge the virtue that Allah has afforded them. And remember, O the wives of Nabi of Allah, you reside within those dwellings where Quran is revealed. You live in those homes where Quran is recited. And what did Allah say? إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ. It is the intention of Allah to purify you, every wife of Nabi of Allah. وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. And favor you, bless you, honor you with sublime character. The opening verses of the 22nd juz of the Quran. وَمَنْ يَقْنُتْ مِنْكُنَّ لِلَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَتَعْمَلْ صَالِحًا. When any one of you will conduct themselves in nobility, then she will enjoy dual reward. When the wife of Nabi alayhi salam served the Nabi of Allah, she enjoyed two rewards. One is as a wife serving her husband, and the second angle is as a follower serving the Nabi of Allah. And every wife of Nabi alayhi salam was unique in her own way and enjoyed her independent virtue. Zainab bint Jahash radiyallahu anha, when she was divorced by Zayd radiyallahu anhu, and it was the choice of Allah that this woman will now come in the wedlock of Nabi alayhi salam, Allah revealed the verses, فَلَمَّا قَضَى زَيْدٌ مِّنْهَا وَطَرًا زَوَّجْنَاكَهَا لِكَيْ لَا يَكُونَ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That, O Muhammad, when Zayd radiallahu anhu divorced Zainab, we got her married to you. Her nikah was performed in the heavens. There was no formal marriage on this earth. This verse was revealed and she met with Nabi alayhi salam in seclusion. Hafsa radiallahu anha, the daughter of Umar radiallahu anhu, she comes into the nikah of Nabi alayhi salam. For whatever reason, the Nabi of Allah divorces her. Jibreel Amin descends and tells Nabi alayhi salam, irji'ha فَإِنَّهَا صَوَّامَةٌ قَوَّامَةٌ وَأَنَّهَا زَوْجَتُكَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. O Nabi of Allah, Allah has sent me to inform you that you must revoke Hafsa and take her back in your nikah. This is not a matter of choice, it is the decree of Allah. For verily she fasts excessively and she stands in salah for lengthy rak'ats. And it is the decree of Allah, she will be your partner in Jannah. The Nabi of Allah revokes her. Habiba radiyallahu anha, the wife of Nabi alayhi salam, displayed such loyalty that the world in its entirety cannot present the likes of Habiba. She accepts Islam. She is the wife of Nabi alayhi salam. Her father is Abu Sufyan. He comes to Medina Munawwara to reaffirm the peace treaty with the Muslims, because some of the Quraysh youth had violated the peace treaty at Hudaybiyah. And from that time, the Nabi of Allah had become very bitter and very hostile towards the Quraysh. So when he comes to Medina, Abu Sufyan, who is not a Muslim at that stage, he says, well, let me just go and visit my daughter here. The daughter is the wife of Nabi alayhi salam. He comes in the house, his daughter greets him, respects him with dignity, entertains him, welcomes him. The father is about to sit down on the bedding of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The wife pulls it aside. So the father asks, "Oh my daughter, have you moved the bedding because I am clean and this mattress is impure? Or is it vice versa that I am impure and the mattress is clean?" She says, "Oh my father, with utmost respect to you, you are my biological father. I afford you all the respect that Islam commands me to display to you. Innakam ru'un najis, but you're an impure man. You worship idols. This is the bedding of the master of both the worlds." Such loyalty she displayed. The world in its entirety cannot present the likes of Habiba radiallahu anha. However, brothers, if you study the lives, there are two wives of Nabi alayhi salam who secured such love in his heart that no other wife could enjoy this honor. One was Khadija radiallahu anha, the first woman to accept Islam. My Nabi said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she is the mother of my children. Nabi alayhi salam's 4 daughters and 2 sons, namely Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum and Fatima, and Abdullah and Qasim. 6 children Nabi alayhi salam got from Khadija radiallahu anha. The only woman who enjoys the greater portion of the marital life of Nabi alayhi salam. He marries her at the age of 25. She passes away 25 years later. The 25 years that Nabi alayhi salam is in the marriage of Khadija, he doesn't take any other spouse in his nikah. 25 years exclusively dedicated to Khadija radiallahu anha. She is bringing a vessel, some food in there. Jibreel Amin descends, tells Nabi alayhi salam, "Your wife Khadija is coming. Convey her my salams and the salams of Allah. And tell her Jannat is being decorated for her." That is the first wife of Nabi alayhi salam. I swear by Allah, this program of mine I dedicate to my sisters. My sister, let you understand, never mind National Women's Day and National this day, the honor Allah has afforded you. It is unfortunate that we haven't made the spouses of Nabi alayhi salam a point of reference in our life. We are not referring to Aisha radiallahu anha. Let me tell you who is Aisha. If you only knew the history of Aisha, you wouldn't have asked me when a daughter was born in your house what name to give her. You would have named every daughter Aisha if you knew how beloved she was to the Nabi of Allah. She comes into the nikah of Nabi alayhi salam at the tender age of 6. She gets married to Nabi alayhi salam at the age of 6. At the age of 9, she comes in the care of Nabi alayhi salam. At the age of 18, she is widowed. At the age of 18, she is widowed. She then lives on for 48 years. Bearing in mind the injunction of the Quran is, وَلَا أَن تَنْكِحُوا أَزْوَاجَهُ مِن بَعْدِهِ أَبَدًا, that the widow of Nabi alayhi salam cannot remarry. She passes away at the age of 65 in the 58th year of Hijri, and Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu performs the janazah namaz. At the tender age of 18, when she becomes widowed, when my sister is barely coming to grips with the obligations of Allah, when the reality of donning, of veiling herself is barely coming upon her, Aisha radiallahu anha conveys 2,210 ahadith to this ummah. She says, I have 9 privileges that nobody else has. Number 1, لَقَدْ نَزَلَ جِبْرِيلُ بِصُورَتِي فِي رَاحَتِهِ. Prior to my nikah, Jibreel descended with my appearance and told Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this will be your wife. And my Nabi told Aisha, "Urituki fil manami thalatha layal." Aisha, for 3 consecutive nights, you were shown to me in a dream, and it was told to me, this is your wife, this is your wife. That's my first virtue. وَلَقَدْ تَزَوَّجَنِي بِكْرًا وَمَا تَزَوَّجَ بِكْرًا غَيْرِي. The Nabi of Allah married me as a virgin, as an unmarried girl. I'm the only wife of his that was unmarried. وَلَقَدْ تُوفِيَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ وَإِنَّ رَأْسَهُ لَفِي حِجْرِ. The Nabi of Allah takes his last breath and bid farewell to this temporary abode and moves on his journey to Akhirah. Aisha radiallahu anha says, his blessed head was in my lap when he left this world. وَلَقَدْ قُبِرَ فِي بَيْتِي. He is buried in my house and in my room. وَلَقَدْ حَفَّتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ بَيْتِي. And the angels surrounded my house. وَإِنْ كَانَ لَيَنْزِلُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَنَا مَعَهُ فِي لِحَافِهِ. I'm the only spouse of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam who enjoys being in seclusion with him while he enjoyed revelation. Often he would tell me, Ya Aish, هذا جبريل يقرأ عليك السلام. Aisha, this is Jibreel, he has come down with some revelation. He is greeting you. I'm the only wife that was in seclusion when he received revelation. وَإِنِّي لَإِبْنَةُ خَلِيفَتِهِ وَصَدِيقِهِ. And I am the daughter of his first successor and his beloved friend Abu Bakr. My Nabi said, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ أَبَا بَكْرٍ. May Allah shower his choicest blessings on Abu Bakr. زَوَّجَنِي إِبْنَتَهُ. He got me married to his daughter. daughter. حَمَلَنِي إِلَى دَارِ الْهِجْرَةِ. He made arrangements for my conveyance to Medina. صَحِبَنِي فِي الْغَارِ. He was my companion in the cave. أَعْتَقَ بِلَالًا مِّن مَالِهِ. And he released Bilal with his own wealth. وَلَقَدْ نَزَلَ عُذْرِي مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. And my innocence, when I was accused with zina, came down divine from Allah in the form of Quran, which Imam Qurtubi explained so beautiful. Oh my sister, where are you running behind the people of this world? If you only know there are such women in the annals of Islamic history, that never mind the woman, it even makes the males of this ummah proud when we have such women in our ancestry. What did she say? Imam Qurtubi says, لَمَّا رُمِيَ بِالْفَاحِشَةِ. When Yusuf alayhi salam was accused with zina, بَرَّأَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى لِسَانِ صَبِيٍّ فِي الْمَهْدِ. Allah proved his innocence on the tongue of a child that was resting in his cradle. وَإِنَّ مَرْيَمَ لَمَّا رُمِيَتْ بِالْفَاحِشَةِ. And when the Virgin Mary was accused of zina, بَرَّأَهَا اللَّهُ عَلَى لِسَانِ إِبْنِهَا. Allah proved her innocence and her chastity and her morality and her integrity on the tongue of Isa alayhi salam. وَإِنَّ عَيْشَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهَا لَمَّا رُمِيَتْ بِالْفَاحِشَةِ. But when the mother of the believers was accused with zina, فَمَا رَضِيَ لَهَا بِبَرَاءَةِ صَبِيٍّ وَلَا نَبِيٍّ. Allah was not pleased in revealing her innocence on the tongue of a child nor a prophet. Allah himself revealed it in the form of Quran. Aisha radiallahu anha says, I never considered myself so close to Allah, only when Allah revealed verses regarding me. That is the time I realized what regard my Allah has for me. And I wish you could comprehend Arabic to understand the sternness with which Allah revealed these ayat. إِذْ تَلَقَّوْنَهُ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَتَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِكُمْ مَا لَيْسَ لَكُمْ بِهِ عِلْمٌ وَتَحْسَبُونَهُ هَيِّنًا وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. When you circulated the slander against Aisha, and you considered the crime to be trivial, whereas in the eyes of Allah there could be no greater crime than accusing the mother of the believers and the wife of Nabi alayhi salam. وَلَقَدْ خُلِقْتُ طَيِّبًا. And Allah created me pure. Amr ibn As radiallahu anhu says, the riwayat is in Bukhari, I came to Nabi alayhi salam and I said, Ya Rasulullah, man ahabbun nasi ilayk? Who is the most beloved to you? Nabi alayhi salam said, Aisha, of course. قُلْتُ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ. I said, what about the men? Nabi alayhi salam said, Abuha, the father of Aisha. The father of Aisha. In Bukhari and Muslim, the riwayat appears that whenever Nabi alayhi salatu was salam, Allah had divinely exempted him according to one commentary of this verse. تُرْجِي مَنْ تَشَاءُ مِنْهُنَّ وَتُؤْوِي إِلَيْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. That he did not have to maintain fairness and equal distribution amongst his spouses. Allah had divinely exempted him from this. However, narrations suggest that he never opted for this concession and he maintained total fairness between all his spouses. But he would more than often say, Allahumma hadha qismi fima amlik, fala tu'akhidni fima tamlik wala amlik. Allah, I have maintained justice between all my wives. Don't hold me responsible for that which you are in control and I'm not in control. And that is the inclination of my heart towards Aisha. Whenever the Sahaba wanted to give Nabi alayhi salam a gift, they would wait for the day that it was Aisha radiallahu anha's chance. By virtue of which, that day the Nabi of Allah was by Aisha. It somehow did not go down very well with the other wives of Nabi alayhi salam, natural, subtle rivalry. So they sent Salma that go and speak to Nabi alayhi salam, that he must make a general statement and address the people and say that, look here, if anybody at any time wants to give me a gift, then he must give it to me at any location and not restrict it to the house of Aisha. This was the request of the other wives. So Salma radiallahu anha comes to Nabi alayhi salam and says, O Nabi of Allah, I have been sent by the delegation of other women just to ask you perhaps if you could tell the people that when they want to give you a gift, they must give it to you anywhere. Nabi alayhi salam sensed the motive behind the statement. He said, Ya Salma, la tu'dhini fi Aisha. Salma, do me one favor, don't hurt my feelings in regard to Aisha. Don't offend my feelings with regards to Aisha. Then they said, okay, let's send Fatima radiallahu anha. Fatima comes with the same request. The Nabi of Allah held his daughter, pet his daughter, and said, Ala tuhibbina ma uhibbu. Oh Fatima, don't you love what I love? She said, yes, oh my father, I love. Nabi alayhi salam said, فَأَحِبِّي هَذِهِ. Then do me a favor, love my Aisha, for verily I love her. Allah favored her with such knowledge. Allah favored her with, at the age of 18, she becomes a widow. She had no children. Again, food for thought for our sisters. Today often many women are crying, may Allah bless them with normal healthy children. But let's make the azwaj mutahharat the point of reference in our life. Let's refer to their life. Oh my sister, when you're pursuing a degree and you're trying to navigate your way in life, it's a high time. You look at those women who have been divinely selected by Allah. She one day told Nabi alayhi salam, all your other wives have children from their previous husbands, and they have given their name, a kunniyat, a pet name after their own children. I have no children. What name can I give myself? Nabi alayhi salam says, nothing to cry about. You have a niece, your daughter Asma has a son, Zubair, so you are known as Abdullah, you are known as Abdullah. Give yourself the name, the mother of Abdullah. Abdullah radiallahu anhu was the first child that was born after Hijrat. The kuffar had passed the remark that since the Muslims have migrated, their women have become barren. When he was born from the stomach of Asma, Nabi alayhi salam rejoiced, and he says that today the theory of the kuffar has been defeated. Allah has favored our women with children. Aisha radiallahu anha, Allah favored her with such knowledge. Abu Musa Ashari says in the riwayat of Tirmidhi, مَشْتَكَلَ عَلَيْنَا أَصْحَابُ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. We, the companions of Nabi alayhi salam, whenever we couldn't understand a hadith, we directed it to Aisha and she used to answer our questions. Who said a woman has to only knock the door of a man? Yes, there are such women in the history of Islam that eminent Sahaba used to come and sit in their company and benefit from their knowledge. Imam Zuhri said, لَوْ جُمِعَ عِلْمُ النَّاسِ وَعِلْمُ أَزْوَاجِ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ. If the knowledge of everyone, including all the wives of Nabi alayhi salam, is put on one side, and the knowledge of Aisha Siddiqa on the other side, كَانَتْ أَوْسَعُهُمْ عِلْمًا. Allah had favored her with more knowledge than all the wives of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Her generosity was so remarkable. Her generosity was so remarkable. She took an active part in Islamic politics. She was in Hajj when Uthman radiallahu anhu was assassinated. When she returned, she was informed about the assassination of Uthman. Subsequently, she delivered many speeches in this regard, that justice be meted out against the rebels who assassinated Uthman. My time doesn't bear me to elaborate on the lectures and the sermons she delivered. But what a woman who had a share in every part of Islamic history. Muawiyah radiallahu anhu sends 100,000 dirhams to her in the morning. She tells the slave girl, start distributing. At the time of iftar, there wasn't one date in the house to break the fast. There wasn't one date. And every sahabi from the four khulafa took it their pride to make adequate arrangements for the financial well-being of the wives of Nabi alayhi salam. Qadi Abu Yusuf has made mention of a narration in Kitabul Kharaj, which even Imam Hakim has approved its authenticity, that Umar radiallahu anhu used to give 10,000 dirhams annually to all the wives of Nabi alayhi salam, but he used to give 12,000 to Aisha radiallahu anha. And he said the reason for this is apparent. The Nabi of Allah loved her more. In acknowledgement to that, I am going to give her 12,000. In fact, when the spoils of the war, when Iraq was conquered, and the spoils of the war came into Medina Munawwara, there was a very beautiful necklace with pearls that came in. When Umar radiallahu anhu looked at this during his reign, he said, it's going to be rather difficult for me to distribute this amongst all the spouses. He gathers all the wives of Nabi alayhi salam. He says, if you consent, I will pass this on to Aisha radiallahu anha. They all willingly agreed, and this necklace was then given to our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. When it came before her, she cried, and she said, indeed, Umar ibn Khattab has been extremely kind to me after the death of Nabi alayhi salam. And she acknowledged it. She acknowledged it. When Sayyidina Umar was in his fatal illness, and he was about to take his last breath, he told his son, oh my son, go to Aisha and ask her permission. Tell her Umar ibn Khattab is asking permission to be buried in the neighborhood of Nabi of Allah. Umar radiallahu anhu's son Abdullah ibn Umar comes, knocks on the door, says, oh my mother, my father is in the throes of death. He's asking permission, do you consent for him to be buried next to Nabi alayhi salam? She cries and she says, this was my desire to be buried here. But Umar is that individual for whom all preferences can be given. Marhaban bi Amir al-Mu'mineen. Welcome to him, tell him he can be buried next to me. Brothers, her modesty was such. She says, after Nabi of Allah passed away, next to his qabr I slept there. Every day I used to sleep in that own room. Then my father passed away. I used to still sleep in that room, 13 years left. Then after Umar radiallahu anhu's body was brought in, from that day onwards, I never slept in that room. And I never entered that room without covering my face. Because first it was only my husband and my father. I went there without a scarf. Now there was the janazah of a strange man. I never dared enter. Oh my mother and oh my sister, it's high time you understand. Let me leave you with a hadith that will make every hair on your body stand. If you have the slightest shred of iman, when I read this hadith, I couldn't control myself. The riwayat comes in. Al-Kabair, Hafiz Shamsuddin Zahabi narrates it. Ali and Fatima radiallahu anha say, we came to Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam. فَوَجَدْنَاهُ يَبْكِي بُكَاءً شَدِيدًا. I found him crying uncontrollably. He was literally sobbing. I tapped him and I said, Ya Rasulallah, malladhi abkak. O Nabi of Allah, what makes you cry in this manner? He said, Ya Ali, laylata usriya bi ila as-sama. رأيت نساء من أمتي يعذبن بأنواع العذاب. Ali, I am recalling a moment when I went for Mi'raj and I ascended the heavens. Then on that particular night, I found 6 categories of the females of my ummah being subjected to such form of torment. Every time I think of that azab, it makes me cry. My sister, your Nabi cried for you and you still cannot cry for yourself. Then the Nabi of Allah started explaining, رَأَيْتُ إِمْرَأَةً مُعَلَّقَةً بِشَعْرِهَا يَغْلِي دِمَاغُهَا. I seen a woman hung by her hair, suspended in the depths of Jahannam. يَغْلِي دِمَاغُهَا, her brains were boiling. وَرَأَيْتُ إِمْرَأَةً مُعَلَّقَةً بِلِسَانِهَا. And I seen a woman hung on her tongue. وَالْحَمِيمُ يُصَبُّ فِي حَلْقِهَا. And the water of Jahannam was poured down her throat. وَرَأَيْتُ إِمْرَأَةً مُعَلَّقَةً بِثَدْيَيْهَا. And I seen a woman hung on the upper portion of her chest. وَرَأَيْتُ إِمْرَأَةً قَدْ شُدَّتْ رِجْلَاهَا إِلَى ثَدْيَيْهَا وَيَدَاهَا إِلَى نَاصِيَتِهَا. And I seen a woman, her legs were tied to her chest and her hands were tied to her forehead. وَرَأَيْتُ إِمْرَأَةً رَأْسُهَا رَأْسُ خِنْزِيرٍ وَبَدَنُهَا بَدَنُ حِمَارٍ عَلَيْهَا أَلْفُ لَوْنٍ مِّنَ الْعَذَابِ. Fatima, what can I tell you? I seen one woman, she was disfigured. She had the head of a swine. She had the body of a donkey. Snakes were surrounding her. And the Nabi of Allah burst out into tears. وَرَأَيْتُ إِمْرَأَةً عَلَى سُورَةِ الْكَلْبِ. And I seen a woman in the form of a dog. وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ يَضْرِبُونَ رَأْسَهَا بِمَقَامِعَ مِنْ نَارٍ. And the angels were striking her. Fatima stood up, cried, embraced her father. مَا كَانَ أَعْمَالُ هَؤُلَاءِ. O Nabi of Allah, what were the crimes of these women? What were the vices of these women that they were subjected to such form of severe azab? The Nabi of Allah held his daughter and he said, أَمَّا الْمُعَلَّقَةُ بِشَعْرِهَا أَمَّا الْمُعَلَّقَةُ بِشَعْرِهَا فَإِنَّهَا كَانَتْ لَا تُغَطِّي شَعْرَهَا مِنَ الرِّجَالِ. O Fatima, with regards to the woman who was hung by her hair and suspended in Jahannam, she walked around outside freely, exposing and revealing her hair to strange men. O Fatima, this is the condition that she will suffer on the day of Qiyamah. O my Muslim sister, and oh brothers, how sad. There are so many youth that are pursuing getting married, but emphatically will tell you, I'm looking for a girl that doesn't adorn herself, and doesn't cover herself, and doesn't veil herself. And on the contrary, my sister is that girl who tells you, I'm looking for a boy, but I don't want a bearded man. When the very criteria of selecting your partner is open violation to the commands of Allah, they don't bother asking us to make dua for prosperity in those marriages. When the grounds of selecting your partner is, I don't want a girl in scarf, then why ask the ulama to make dua for prosperity in your marriages? When you have chosen from the very beginning and inception that you want to violate the orders of Allah. So Fatima, the woman that was hung by her hair, فَإِنَّهَا كَانَتْ لَا تُغَطِّي شَعْرَهَا مِنَ الرِّجَالِ. She would reveal her hair. Brothers, Allah be my witness. I often cry. I wonder in the few years that I am in this community, on very few occasions I have addressed the women of this community. My heart cries, I make dua to Allah. May Allah guide my daughters, my wife, my sister, and the woman of the entire ummah. وَأَمَّا الَّتِي كَانَتْ مُعَلَّقَةً بِلِسَانِهَا. وَأَمَّا الَّتِي, oh my sister, for Allah's sake, think, ponder. The one who was hung by her tongue, فَإِنَّهَا كَانَتْ تُؤْذِي زَوْجَهَا. She used to verbally abuse her husband. The riwayat comes in Tirmidhi, Muaz ibn Jabal is the narrator. Every time a woman verbally abuses a husband, statistics prove now that the husband is more on the receiving end in abusive relations than on the giving end. Nabi alayhi salam said, whenever a wife verbally abuses her husband, إِلَّا قَالَتْ زَوْجَتُهُ مِنَ الْحُورِ الْعِينِ لَا تُؤْذِيهِ قَاتَلَكِ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّمَا هُوَ عِنْدَكِ الدَّخِيلِ يُوشِكُ أَن يُفَارِقَكِ إِلَيْنَا. That may Allah destroy you, O woman. Stop abusing your husband. Very soon he'll be separated from you and he will be united with us in Jannat. وَأَمَّا الَّتِي كَانَتْ مُعَلَّقَةً بِثَدْيَيْهَا. And that woman who was hung by the upper portion of her chest. What honor have they given to the Muslim woman? They have made them a commodity to promote things. They have dropped them, they have defamed them, they have disgraced them. Do not fall prey to the temptations that the world has put before you, O my sister. That woman who is hung by the, I'm using a respectable phrase, it refers to the upper portion of her chest. معلقة بثدييها فإنها كانت تفسد فراش زوجها. She was an immoral woman, unchaste woman, smiling with strange men, going out with strange men. وأما التي تشد رجلاها إلى ثدييها ويداها إلى ناصيتها. And that woman whose legs were tied to her chest and her hands were tied to her forehead, and the scorpions had surrounded her. فإنها كانت لا تنظف بدنها من الجنابة وتستهزئ بالصلاة. This woman was very negligent when it came to the aspect of purity. When it came to the period after her menstrual cycle, she had to purify herself. There are two masail in Deen, I know when we study, that are very complex. One is inheritance and one is with regards to the bleeding of the woman. Allah has been so kind to that sister. 10 days of the week, Allah has exempted her from namaz. But understand the rulings of namaz. If a woman becomes parked 15 minutes before sunset, Asr namaz becomes compulsory on her. Our woman delayed till the next morning. Asr goes, Maghrib goes, Isha goes. She takes a bath at 12 and she starts with Zohar. Every time she becomes parked, this is how she forgets her namaz. This is her condition, that her hands will be tied to her chest. Her legs will be tied to her chest. It comes regarding the sahabiyat. They used to get up at midnight. They used to light the lantern. And then they used to go in the bathroom and see have we become park or not. Our namaz will be compulsory upon us. Today, my sister, you enjoy all comforts and all luxuries, but yet you deny this order of Allah. وَأَمَّا الَّتِي رَأْسُهَا رَأْسُ خِنْزِيرٍ وَبَدَنُهَا بَدَنُ حِمَارٍ. And with regards to that woman who has been disfigured and been reduced to that of a donkey, فَإِنَّهَا كَانَتْ نَمَّامَةٌ كَذَّابَةٌ. She was one who carried tales. She was one who carried tales. And she used to lie openly. How often doesn't it happen? How often a man comes home nicely, greets his mother, meets with his wife. His wife then poisons the mind of the husband against the mother. The son walks in the house. The mother realizes that his wife has instigated him against me. He changes his attitude. He's not polite to his mother. Why? It is the nature of this woman. She is carrying tales. Hammazim, Masha'im binamim. On the reverse end, the father-in-law comes home. He's polite with his daughter-in-law, greets nicely, goes in the kitchen. The mother-in-law poisons the mind of the father-in-law. You must tell your eldest son, his wife is like this daughter-in-law is like this, that daughter-in-law does this here. The father comes, he changes his attitude. I am not speaking on something I'm making up. I'm speaking in relation to what is coming before me, brothers. I can compile a book with the cases in which I'm personally involved. There is now a hostile relation. Why? Because these women are carrying tales. Nammamatun kadhaba. She used to carry tales. My Nabi passed by the graves of two Sahaba. Yu'adzaban. Wama yu'adzabani fi kabir. Bala innahu kabir. They are being subjected to severe azab. It is not a major crime. Nay, it is a major crime, but they considered it not major. Amma ahaduhuma fakana yamshi bin namima. One of them had the habit of carrying tales. The riwayat is in Muslim. Abu Huzaifa is the narrator. La yadkhulul jannata nammam. One who carries tales will never enter Jannah. And the second person suffering in his grave because of negligence with regards to the drops of urine. I end with this hadith. The Nabi of Allah then said, وَأَمَّا الَّتِي عَلَى سُورَةِ الْكَلْبِ. With regards to that woman who was disfigured and given the appearance of a dog, فَإِنَّهَا كَانَتْ مَنَّانَةٌ حَسَّادَةٌ. She was a woman who constantly harped on her favors. I have done so much for you. I have done so much for this family. I have done so much for my mother-in-law. I cook so much for my children. I tolerate so much the ill nature of constantly reminding her husband of her favors. Hassada, and her heart is an abode of total jealousy. Brothers, these crimes can be also found in men, but relatively it is found more common in women. We make dua to the Almighty Allah that He free our women from all evils and vices. May Allah Ta'ala we make this the turning point in our life. And I implore my sisters at this juncture that take something to heart. For Allah's sake, cover your hair from today. For Allah's sake, look at the cleanliness. Don't have jealousy in your heart. Today a woman is her heart is so narrow. They can't even part with a simple recipe. They're so obsessive about it. And Aisha radiallahu anha says, I opened my house, tell Umar he can be buried where I was to be buried. What a clean heart. What a far vision she had. Allah gave her that honor and Allah gave her that rank. That the Nabi of Allah said, the first to be with me in Jannah from amongst my wives will be Aisha radiallahu anha. May Allah Ta'ala inspire us with the reality and reward the wives of Nabi alayhi salam, a most befitting reward that He has ever rewarded anyone on behalf of anyone. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Islam sets up وعلیکم السلام. بی بی کدھر ہے وہ منیر؟
وہ اندر ہے جی، بہت بیمار ہے.
بیماری کا بہانہ چھوڑو اور کرایہ نکالو بس.
3 مہینے سے بیمار ہے جی، دکان بند پڑی ہے، جو پیسے تھے علاج پہ لگ گئے.
تو میں کیا کروں؟ 3 مہینے سے اسے برداشت کیا ہے.
ہمیں تھوڑی سی مہلت دے دے، بہت مجبور ہیں ہم.
میں جتنی مہلت دے سکتا تھا میں نے دے دی ہے. اب تو تم لوگوں کا ایڈوانس بھی برابر ہو گیا ہے. بس زیادہ باتیں نہ بناؤ، کرایہ نکالو. اگر کرایہ ہے تو دو، ورنہ آج شام تک یہ گھر خالی کر دو.
سیٹھ صاحب پلیز مہربانی کریں، ہم چھوٹے چھوٹے بچے کدھر لے کے جائیں گے؟ وہ جیسے ہی بہتر ہوتے ہیں آپ کے پیسوں کا بندوبست کر دیں گے، آپ فکر نہ کریں جی.
اور بی بی کیسے فکر نہ کروں؟ زیادہ باتیں نہ سناؤ، اسے نکالو منیر کو. او منیر، او منیر جلدی سے باہر آ. اور تو باہر آتا ہے کہ میں اندر آ جاؤں؟
السلام علیکم سیٹھ صاحب.
وعلیکم السلام. اب بیماری کا یہ مطلب نہیں ہے کہ تو بہانہ بنا کر بیٹھا رہے. یہ کچھ سرائے نہیں ہے. کرایہ ہے تو دو، ورنہ آج شام تک یہ گھر خالی کر دو.
زندگی میں مارا وقت آ جاتا ہے سیٹھ صاحب، تھوڑی سی مہربانی کر دیں. زندگی بھر دعائیں دیں گے ہم آپ کو.
مجھے دعائیں نہیں چاہیے، مجھے پیسے چاہیے، پیسے.
انسان زندگی میں 2 چہرے کبھی نہیں بھولتا.
کون سے چہرے بلول بابا؟
ایک وہ جو مشکل حالات میں ساتھ دے، اور دوسرا وہ جو مشکل حالات میں ساتھ چھوڑ جائے.
میں نے کیا ٹھیکہ لے رکھا ہے سب کا؟ کس کس کا ساتھ دوں؟ یہاں تو ہر کوئی غربت کا رونا روتا ہے.
خدا نے عقل دی ہے، آنکھیں دی ہیں، سچ کو پہچانو اور اس کا ساتھ دو. کیوں غریب مجبور کو تنگ کرتے ہو سیٹھ صاحب؟ غریب پر احسان کرو، کیونکہ غریب ہونے میں دیر نہیں لگتی.